So the next speaker we have, though, is a very important one here in Monona, Mayor Mary O'Connor. And she has lived in Monona for almost 40 years, during which time she's been an active volunteer in the community. She and her husband, Bob, are both retired librarians, but find themselves with plenty to do. After being elected in Monona City Council in 2012, she was elected the Mayor of Monona in 2017. And then she was re-elected again this year. Can we give it up for Mayor Mary, everybody?
Part of what I love about Monona is how easy it is to get involved in the community in a whole variety of ways, some of which are very unexpected. Back in the summer of 1980, my husband Bob and I had been married a few years, and we decided that the time had come to buy a house. And as Kevin said, we're both librarians. We were living in downtown Madison. I was working at the Extension Library on campus, and Bob had just started a job at the State Reference and Loan Library out on Stoughton Road. Until then, neither of us was at all familiar with the east side of Madison or Monona. But Bob spent the summer riding his bike through the area on his way to work. So when we decided to start looking for houses, he said, well, why don't we look there? So that November, after looking through like 25 houses, it was unbelievable, that November we bought the house on Winnetka Road, where we still live today. A few months after we moved in, Bob saw an announcement about a meeting to organize a Friends of the Library group at the Monona Library. How could we not check it out, so to speak? So we went to the first meeting, and you can guess the outcome. A month later, Bob was the first president, and I was the treasurer. And we're still involved with the Friends today. Several years later, our older daughter, Claire, had joined the Girl Scouts. And one day, she told me that they needed someone to manage the annual cookie sale for the troop. So I thought, why not? I like to organize things. A few years later, I found myself co-chairing the cookie sale for all the troops in Monona. Every March for years, a big van from Reynolds Moving and Storage would pull up outside our house, and they would unload hundreds and hundreds of cases of cookies into our garage. One year we figured there were 17,000 boxes of cookies in our garage. And we got rid of them all the same day. It was really just like an assembly line. All the people would come and pick them up. In the meantime, I was asked if I'd like to be appointed to the Monona Library Board, and I found myself saying yes, ready for my next Monona adventure. A few years later, I was elected president of the board. That was right after we decided to do a $3.5 million expansion and renovation of the library. Being part of the campaign committee supporting the referendum to approve the project was my first experience in local politics. During the building process, I learned a lot about how the city works. Budget and committee approvals, going out for bid, even a meeting with the Plan Commission, which is everybody's favorite thing. It was fun and exciting to see such a big project take shape. It also took a toll on my family time to the extent that at the dedication, Lauren, our then 10-year-old, turned to Bob and said, now do we get our mom back? Really a big guilt trip, yeah. But Lauren got her fill of me in her last 2 years of high school when I served as president of MG Sings, the choir parent booster club. I'm sure she thought there were times that I was living at the high school. A big part of that job involved serving as chair of their annual show choir competition, which brings in about 20 high school show choirs, their bands, all their supporters for an 18-hour day at the high school. It's lots of fun, but it takes months of planning and coordinating the work of 15 to 20 committees. It's a perfect job for someone who loves to make lists. It also means working with lots of people with competing priorities and gave me a chance to work on my diplomatic skills. While all that was happening, people had started to encourage me to run for city council. At first I said I wouldn't even consider it until Lauren graduated, but when she did, I wasn't sure I wanted to, and you really need to be sure that you want to be involved in city council before you run. I needed a break, and I still had a lot of volunteer commitments with various local groups and political campaigns, and I was still working as well, but it's nice to have some free time too. Fast forward to late 2011, and 2 of the current aldermen had decided not to run for re-election. So it was a perfect opportunity to run. And by then I'd had a fair amount of experience working with local campaigns and referendums, and I thought I had some contributions to make to city government, so I decided to take the plunge and campaign for myself this time, and I won. When I was first elected to the council, I joined a group of 4 men and another woman, longtime Alder Kathy Thomas, who's out here today. I discovered that I really enjoyed working on city policy. I got to know the city staff and learned a lot more about how Monona operates and the priorities of the people who live here. Eventually, Kathy decided to step down, leaving me with 5 men on the council. A year later, Mayor Bob Miller decided not to run for re-election. My family had always kidded me about being mayor someday, and I had always poo-pooed the idea. But a lot of people, including some of the council, were asking me to seriously consider it, and I began to think, why not? I had a lot of experience in the community and with city government, and I'm organized, enjoy working with people. So I explored the idea for several months, but the why not me question and the answer would not go away, and eventually I decided to go for it. Green O'Connor for mayor signs peppered the lawns of Monona. Through knocking on doors and coffees and interviews and debates, I reaffirmed my commitment to the city. I won't keep you in suspense. I won and became the first female mayor of Monona following a long line of 16 male village presidents and mayors dating to 1938. And as thank you. And as a bonus, Bob became the first man. And I'm sure many of you have heard him call himself the first man. During my first term, we had the worst flooding in Monona history. The National Guard was called out, and our city staff and citizens and neighbors came out in huge groups to help sandbag the shorelines to save threatened homes. I learned firsthand about another side of our community. We have each other's backs, and we're in it for the long haul. It makes me very proud to be mayor. This spring, I was reelected to another 2-year term, and this year there are 2 men and 4 women on the council, another first for Monona. Something tells me I won't be the last woman mayor, but I think my days of coordinated cookie sales are over.